Female genital piercings, hardest, easiest to heal. Coming up next on Body Piercing Basics, so stick around. For those who are new to the channel, my name is DaVo. I'm a professional body piercer and have been since 1994. I own and operate the Axiom Body Piercing Studio, located here in Des Moines, Iowa, inside Skin Kitchen Tattoo. So, when I talk to you about these things, I'm talking about a level of expertise that comes with being in the body piercing industry for well over 26 years. First thing I want to talk about is I'm going to be talking about female genital piercings. If you do not want to learn about female genital piercings, find that offensive, or don't like it when people talk about the female anatomy, or it's not age appropriate, or you're looking for some kind of sexual stimulation, this is not the video for you. I would suggest, if you were looking for videos that have nothing to do with female genitals, but have to do with piercings, you check out one of our many different videos that are about non-genital piercings. Also, they may be a little bit more age appropriate. If you're looking for some type of sexual stimulation, this is not the video for you. This is sole purpose of this is educating those that are considering these piercings or possibly have them or trying to choose which one's going to work best for them or their partners. So this is going to be straight education, nothing really more. I broke this up into two parts. The first part would be the more common female genital piercings. The second part, we're going to talk about some of the more extreme ones that I personally, and many of them, I won't do or require such a level of perfect anatomy that most people don't have them. The other thing is with the extreme ones is generally you have to have somebody that has a lot of experience doing these piercings to do them correctly, and they can be dangerous if they aren't done so. So let's start out with the more common female genital piercings. Easiest or hardest to heal to easiest to heal. First one on the list would be a Christina piercing. For those that are unaware of what a Christina piercing is, it is at the top of the female genitalia, kind of where the outer labia or labia minora or majoras, not minoras, majoras connect. Some women have kind of a bump or a ridge there or a heel that can be pierced with a straight barbell. Or not a straight barbell, a curved barbell, or a surface-to-surface barbell. These piercings, because of their location, tend to have a lot of contact with clothing. Because they're very anatomy specific, they tend to reject or migrate or have that risk. And they take a little bit longer to heal than some of the other piercings I have listed here. Second one is the triangle. Now, I added the triangle as second for a couple of different reasons. Usually, it's a longer or wider piercing than most of the other piercings, so it takes a little bit longer for your body to produce tissue. Also, you really have to have the perfect anatomy for this. Generally, I've only came across maybe a handful of women where this piercing can easily be done and not possibly have risks. Once during the healing process, because the jewelry is kind of in an odd placement of where it's located at, and for those who don't know, basically this is positioned in right below the clitoris. With some women, there's kind of a triangle of empty tissue right there. It's done straight through there, either done with a straight barbell or a circular piece of jewelry. Because of the circular jewelry, sometimes it'll tip back and forth, and because the barbell's a little oversized, it'll kind of do that too. It really comes down to your anatomy, and this piercing can be kind of a pain in the ass to heal for that reason. Now we move on to the labia. Labia minoras. Labia minora is also known as outer labias, are the ridges on the outer edge of the female genital. Usually with some women, it is more pronounced or more heel-like. These are done usually with rings. They're done as high as possible to avoid possible interaction during intercourse, and they're done offset because they're usually done in sets. This piercing, because of the length of the piercing, takes a little bit longer. It can be a little bit more difficult to heal than other piercings. Also, because of the jewelry, there can be some twisting that can cause some issues and increase contact, and etc. Number 4, labia minoras or inner labia. Labia minoras are that thin piece of tissue. Some are larger, some are smaller. They're usually roughly about a quarter of an inch to 5/16 of an inch thick. They're a lobe. They can be longer or shorter or wider, I guess would be a better way of putting it. Done usually with circular jewelry. They can be done with barbells, but I don't really advise it because it tends to cause a lot of weight issues, and the barbell kind of tips back and forth, and that can be uncomfortable. These piercings heal fairly quickly, usually aren't very traumatic, tend to be more inside the area, don't have as much contact as the outer labias do. The only issue with these is they are prone, depending on how thin that tissue is, to possible tearing or abuse for that reason. And that's why they're kind of mid-list. Number 5, horizontal clitoral hood piercing. This is done through the hood, or that piece of tissue that lays over the top of the clitoris, but it's done horizontally. This is a very anatomy-specific piercing from the standpoint of the genitals need to be more outside the body than inside the body. Those that have watched other videos that I've done on sexual piercings or female genitalia, we talk about the hill and we talk about the valley. This piercing is better for people that are more of a hill. And the reason being is that it's usually done with a ring with that ball or the end touching the clitoris underneath the hood. It really can, unless you have enough room there, it can twist back and forth and make healing very difficult and uncomfortable. So this is something you really need to have your piercer take a look at and go, yeah, you're a good candidate, or no, you aren't a good candidate. And last on the list of more common female genital piercings is the vertical clitoral hood piercing. This passes vertically through that flap of tissue that lays over the top of the clitoris. It's a very thin piercing. It heals very quickly and usually isn't very traumatic. The only real drawback for this piercing is you definitely have to have enough tissue there to support the jewelry properly and for the piercer to be able to do it safely. This is where a lot of people refer to as a Q-tip test, where we take a Q-tip or cotton tip applicator, put it underneath there to make sure that it is loose and there's enough room to fit the jewelry and also do the piercing safely. With the common ones out of the way, let's move on to the more extreme or really just flat out anatomy needed to do kind of situation. The first one is the Nefertiti. This piercing is a long piercing. Basically, what is done is the clitoris is pierced vertically through the shaft of the clitoris up into a Christina, which is at the top. On average, I would say they're about that long, maybe longer, depending on your anatomy. Whenever you are piercing the clitoris itself, it can be very dangerous. You really have to have a large enough one to do in the first place, in adding that additional length and all the things that can go wrong, including one of the top piercing, the Christina, rejecting. This is by far has to be the most difficult female genital piercing to heal out, in my opinion. Number 2, the Princess Albertina. This is basically a female Prince Albert piercing. It's done into the urethra, usually on the bottom. I've seen it on the top too. This seems like it would be an extremely, extremely painful piercing to get done. They tend to have all kinds of side issues, including the possibility of urinary tract infection and all kinds of other things. Really, with this one, I don't advise getting it done. If you want to get it done, I guess it's great, fantastic. But you really want to do your research before you do this particular piercing, and you really want to find somebody that has a lot of knowledge with doing this particular piercing. Number 3, the Isabella Piercing. This one is another combination piercing, just like the Nefertiti, except this one is also done a vertical clitoral shaft piercing to a vertical hood piercing. I already talked about this, and I'm going to talk about it more about the dangers of piercing a clitoris in itself here when I get to that one. But the combination of the two piercings makes this a little bit more difficult to heal than either of those piercings would be by themselves. Anytime you take two piercings and create kind of an industrial type situation, you're increasing the likelihood of issues because you're trying to keep something that is your body inflexible, rigid. The Fourchette. Some people would say this doesn't belong on the extreme side, but really you have to have the proper anatomy for this to work. The other problem I have with this is if you ever plan on having children, damage to that area could cause some issues when the perineum tears, like it normally does during childbirth, or is cut. Basically, it's located exactly where that would happen, right down at the bottom. Some women have kind of a pinchable area there where it's more pronounced. They're going to be a better candidate than other people. It's usually done with a curved barbell or a surface-to-surface barbell. It's just one of those piercings where I think it's going to be a lot of problems. It's often called the female gish. It seems like it would come in a lot more contact with movement, especially walking and etc. I don't know if it's a great idea. Its location does increase the likelihood of infection, in my opinion, just like the gish has that problem. You really have to be very cautious when healing this piercing out, and it can be traumatic. The other thing is there's no way to really see the piercing yourself, so it's something that needs to be monitored on a regular basis. And that brings us to number 5, the easiest and the more extreme, in my opinion, and that would be a clitoris piercing. A lot of people will mislabel vertical clitoral hood piercings and horizontal clitoral hood piercings as clitoral piercings or clit piercings. They aren't. They don't go through the clitoris at all. The problem with the clitoris is it really needs to be big enough to allow enough room for the jewelry. Your anatomy pretty much has to be dead on. And even then, there are large nerve groupings with very little space between them to put that piercing. You really need somebody that has a lot of experience doing these, and I generally would advise against it. There's always a possibility of severing some of those nerve endings, and this goes for the other two piercings I talked about that are done through the shaft. There's always this possibility of causing problems, including loss of sensitivity. So really do your research before you get this piercing done. So there it is. Female genital piercings, from the hardest to heal to the easiest to heal, and a little bit extra there with the extreme ones. I hope you enjoyed it. If you found it interesting, informative, edifying, and etc., give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you like it, or liked it, because now we're at the end. Because we like it when you liked it. If you have any questions, maybe I brought up something that you're a little confused about and you want me to expand on it further, or maybe you have experience with having any of these piercings, please leave a comment. I usually answer them when I have time and am available to do so. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Hit that notification bell so that you're notified every single time we post a video. We usually post between 3 and 4 videos a week, sometimes more, sometimes less, all dealing with body piercing and tattooing. If you like merch, you like swag, you like to show your pride of body art by wearing t-shirts and so forth, check out our merch store. Link is in the description. There's also one of those bands below that are bars that show some of the designs. I just got this today, and that's the print all over shirt from the Axiom. Fancy stuff. I'll be probably wearing this tomorrow. And to be honest with you, most of the profits at this point in time just go back into buying more merch for us. So you're helping with my wardrobe and the other artists here at the Skin Kitchen and the Axiom. But there's roughly about 12 different designs, various different products, everything from t-shirts to hoodies to phone cases, leggings, and tote bags and beach towels. So check that out. Link is in the description. Till next time, here's hoping all your piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. If you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, I hope to see you for your body piercing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay clean, wash your hands, stay healthy, wear a mask, whatever it takes to get through this pandemic and come out safe and healthy. Because we like you around. Just do it.